Ready? Here we go.
Different points of view and highs and lows. A new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind, drown out the noise, and see if this connected. And see if this connected.
What's up, fam? The mission of this Connected podcast is to connect generations and situations about faith, life, and whatever comes along the way. To not necessarily agree, but be listened to. These conversations, of course, highlight the perspective of our various guests, and you are always welcome to agree or even disagree. But as always, we hope that it is done in charity. Now, here's your host, Catholic.Dad.
So thanks, Tony, for that introduction. We've been away from podcasting for a while, and we thought we'd come back. We really were reflecting on what is it that we need to talk about and how do we want to move on with this podcast thing. But you know what? I just thought, hey, do I want to do this solo? And that's not a thing. I'm a very much a social person, so it's hard for me to do podcasts by myself. I need people to bounce things at. And I thought, hey, why not bring one of the original guys who started this podcast? We used to call him Captain Catholic Goose the Gooseman, Carlos Goose the Gooseman. I don't know what he calls himself now because, I haven't seen you since COVID. I think you got locked up. Didn't you get locked up?
I did get locked up.
Yeah. Now you're on parole?
Yes.
Yes.
And free.
Yeah, free from COVID. Not yet, but kind of moving on there. So if you guys see where this is, where I'm looking down instead of looking at the camera at you, it's nothing against you. It's just that we kind of end up looking at the screen instead of looking at you, but hopefully we'll have to look at each other. But anyways, so I thought I'd start these next few podcasts, not just going straight into the topic, but something like Catholic trivia, random Catholic trivia. I used to do Catholic dad jokes, but that got old. So this is going to be the beginning of a lot of our podcasts. Give you some little things of Catholic trivia. So Catholic trivia this time, and lucky you, it's this. On the first day of Christmas, I should sing this one. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. Yeah, I'm not in the choir. But according to Roman Catholic symbolic interpretation, who does the partridge represent in the carol, the 12 Days of Christmas? Dun, dun, dun. You know?
Oh, no.
No, you don't?
No.
You guys know? Most people don't know. I didn't know who the partridge represented in that Christmas carol, the 12 Days of Christmas. By the way, the 12 Days of Christmas does not start 12 days before Christmas. It starts on Christmas Day, and it's 12 days
After
from Christmas to Epiphany. So that's the 12 days of Christmas, folks. But that's not the trivia. So the answer is Jesus. The partridge in that carol is Jesus. Dun, dun, dun. I wish we had a sound. We do, but I didn't load it. So, sorry. So here's the story behind that. Between 1558 and 1829, English Roman Catholics could not practice their faith publicly. An anonymous person is said to have written this carol as a catechism song. There are two levels of meaning. The first is the superficial meaning about a surfeit of gifts. The second level is a purported hidden meaning known only to members of the Roman Catholic Church. Each element in the carol has a key word for a religious reality which children could easily recall. The partridge is Jesus Christ. He is aptly represented as a partridge, a bird which will pretend to be injured in order to draw predators to itself and away from its young. By offering himself on the cross, he shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His trust shall be thy shield and buckler. And that's from the King James Bible, Psalms 91, verse 4. It continues, the pear is the cross itself. The pear tree, not the pear. The pear tree is the cross itself. When King David is needed to free his people from the Philistines, the Lord told him, and when thou shalt hear the sound of one going in the tops of the pear trees, then shalt thou join battle. For then will the Lord go out before thy face to strike the enemy of the Philistines. That's from 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 5. We want to note in some versions, the pear tree is listed as mulberry tree or a balsam tree. But that's the story of the 12 days of Christmas, the very first one on the first day of Christmas. My true love gave to me a partridge and a pear tree. So there you go, folks. That is your Catholic Got That trivia for this episode. For more of that, you'll just have to continue listening to more episodes, I guess. So I just don't know what we're going to find those episodes. Those trivia. So here's the thing. If you have a trivia that you are like just itching to share, DM us, send us an email, send it to us, and we'll share that and give you credit for it, unless we don't. But at least you'll hear on the podcast that, you know what, that was my trivia. I sent it to Catholic.dad. He read it on the podcast. But today, thank you, Carlos Guzman.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I love this guy. Love this guy. I mean, he's like so into his faith. Or are you still into your faith?
Yeah.
Still having a hard time?
Yeah.
Everyone's having a hard time. It's COVID. It's like it's a pandemic. It's like that.
Are we not having a hard time?
Yeah, who's not having a hard time? It's kind of like the lose your faith pandemic. Did I say that? I did. It's like, but we're here to just talk to a young man who went through middle school, actually didn't even experience your last year of middle school, the 8th grade, where you're like the most popular person. It's kind of like you're top of the hill. You're waiting for that moment. You graduate and wah. Sitting at home.
Yeah.
Watching the dogs.
Unfortunately, that's what kind of happened.
Yeah. Kind of listening to your mom teach class from her room, and you're in your room and you have your obnoxious brother just being obnoxious.
You just described every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, obnoxious brother. We won't mention who that guy is, David. By the way, coffee cup in the official Disconnected coffee cup mug. Coffee mug. If you would like one of these, be one of our patrons in our Patreon for little as $5. You will get one of these as a gift for being a patron. So, and if you want to be a patron for just as little as $1, we'll just send you a multitude of random stickers that we create. Literally random stickers.
Who doesn't want stickers?
Who doesn't want stickers? I mean, it's like there's stickers all over the back of my laptop. Yeah, but yeah, was it that hard? I mean, was it that hard to have to go to school at home? But tell me. Well, first, tell me who you are. Tell our listeners who you are.
Well, my name is Carlos Guzman. I am now a freshman in high school, and I used to play football until I broke my arm, and then I've just been trying to continue on with faith and focus on school.
Awesome. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat with you, except that they didn't break their arm. By the way, he did not let me sign his cast.
It was a black cast.
I had white ink. So, I'm still hurt about that. Sorry. Yeah. The apologies accepted, I guess. But anyways, when I was a kid, I used to always want to break my arm or break something because I wanted a cast. I was, and this is not recommended for any of you guys thinking that, hey, I'm going to jump off something so I can get a cast as well. I used to jump off walls. I remember jumping off our garage, try to fall, but for some reason that whole thing of protecting oneself, I would always roll, and I'm like, darn, I didn't break anything. I was always afraid of hurting myself, so that's kind of like defeats the purpose. But I had friends who had like broken arms, like casts, and they were cool because you get to stick sticks in there because it itches, and I was like, God, people wrote on it, and I'm like, that is so cool. And I never did.
It's not a good experience.
No, I wasn't
No.
deprived of my childhood.
I don't think so.
So we also have bananas because Carlos likes bananas and we have to maintain his potassium count.
Yes.
Athletes do that, not me, obviously.
Your potassium.
Yeah. But on a tangent, I want to invite you guys while we're here is that Catholic.dad, that's me, and anyone who wants to join. I am going on a pilgrimage in 2023. That's far off, so it allows you to save up money and it allows you to train. We're going to do the Camino. I'm going to do the Camino. I invite you guys to also join me on the Camino de Santiago de Frances. So we're going to go the French way because there's a lot of albergues or hostels that we can stay in. I'm really not into dying out there. So I want to invite you to be part of this pilgrimage. So it's in about 23 months. We're going to be basically traveling at the end of August, almost all the way through September, because we're going to almost end it on my birthday. So it's all about me. But I always have this on my bucket list, and I want to invite you guys to go. We'll be traveling all the way across Spain to the end of the earth, what the Romans used to call the end of the earth, end of the world, which is Finisterre. And so I want to invite you guys to do that. If you want to follow my travels on that, just log on to our Instagram, Catholic.dad, and I'll be posting training that I've been doing or walking, the struggles of losing the weight and then actually walking it. And also, if you want to support, be a patron, state in there that this is for the Camino so that we can buy equipment and stuff like that and just have a great old time. And if you go with me, just remember there's going to be a lot of praying. So we're going to do the 6 a.m., we're going to do the 12 noon Angelus, we're going to do the 3 o'clock prayer, we're going to be praying the rosary on the way. So if praying is not for you, well, then it sucks to be you, but you should be praying. And so we're going to be doing a lot of that, a very spiritual pilgrimage. And if you have prayers that you want to send, we'll write it on a little rock because on the halfway point, there's this cross where we just unload all our burdens on this cross and bring it with us. So a very wonderful thing that I want to do, and I want to invite you. So there is absolutely nothing that is, this is an unofficial pilgrimage. We're not going on a tour. We're just basically all going on our own, hopefully get on the same flight, start on the same date and meet there, gather there and walk 500 plus miles through this. So a lot of blisters, a lot of fun, meet a lot of people. So that's my plug on the Camino pilgrimage that we'll be doing. I'll be sharing that in a lot of the other podcasts and just tell you folks where we're at. So here we are. We're starting over. We're starting over from the episode 1 where you were on, and you're on episode 1, right?
No, you weren't. That's episode 1 was that's the weird.
Oh, what episode did you come on?
It was like the early episodes, but I wasn't in Esther Weird at that time.
Yeah, you're still young. We didn't want you then. As you guys know, we obviously can see that we have a relationship. I was at one time Carlos's youth minister until they didn't want me anymore. Just kidding. But I love seeing the passion that you guys had or have or hopefully still have in serving God and serving each other and just being present. So tell me, how was it going through COVID? How was school and how was life?
Well, so basically my middle school life ended around the end of 7th grade because that's when COVID hit and we had to go off. And at first I thought it was just gonna be a week and it would be fine. And then the summer hit and then 8th grade came and I realized, oh, this is actually a big thing. And then that's what came. And school was for me at least school was really easy. It was hard not seeing my friends every day. And I think that people might really need that school experience to teach them. But the work was easy, but yeah, and then yeah, basically, but it's just I missed that part in my life to learn about how life is. So yeah, because I think like every school year is not only teaching you to like go to college, also teaching you to like become a better person and successful.
Also, you said you missed a lot of like your friends and hanging out and doing that. Do you think that having those friends around kind of forms you to be more sociable or socially? Uh, because sometimes it's a lot of people uh, who have this concept that people who are homeschooled are not very sociable or they don't have a social life where they have a hard time socializing with each other. Did you feel that you were being homeschooled and then you were having a more difficult time when you got around people to kind of, you're now becoming more shy?
I definitely thought that because after 8th grade and once I got into high school, it was definitely more harder to meet people because I didn't have those like 1.5 years of hanging out with my friends and being able to communicate with them and being more stronger to meet other people. So I think it was harder to get back into the groove of making new friends and stuff like that because of that like, gap year.
I love that. It's literally what you guys call it, right? A gap year.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
The gap year, like, because it's like literally something was missing, right?
It's just like because like you're forced to go to school every single day when you're like super young, and then for this 1 year you're just not there. So it's like it's very weird.
So the very first weeks, you were like, "This is so cool."
Yeah. And then like later on they hate you
Like, what were the coolest things about not having to go physically to school?
Well, the work was easier. School when I went to school started like at 7:25. Online it started like at 9. So I had a lot of time to myself, and I would wake up like at 5 in the morning. So I would have a lot of time to myself between when I wake up and when school starts. That was really good. And the cool thing was school, because school started later, I thought it would end later, but it ended the same time than we usually did. So I had like a lot of free time, but like downside to that is I was like very bored a lot of the time.
No, because there wasn't any interaction.
Yeah.
You didn't go out in the hallways and meet friends. And
Mhm.
I always wondered, did you guys still have like study groups or just like self-study, or did you guys like meet and say, hey, you know what, let's meet on the Zoom, let's study this part together?
With my friends, no, not really. I mean, like we would call each other and you're like, hey, do you know like the answers to like I don't get this, or like can you help me on this essay stuff like that. But we wouldn't like all meet up in one group to like study school.
Well, I just play games.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we talk about school and like work over like the PS4 and stuff like that. We talk about like our classes.
So that's super cool because you share that, because there's going to be like older people like me or parents who are going to be listening to this and it's like, well, how do they communicate? Because I never saw them on the phone, because a lot of parents are like, oh, call each other. And you still have parents like, well, why didn't you call him? I'm like, well, I already talked to him. So when did you talk to him? You weren't even on the phone. So, tell us like what were some of the modes that you were using to communicate with friends?
Phone, um, and basically just like online on the PS4 because like after school, after school I would like finish my homework or any like things I would have to do, and after that I would just go on the game and play with my friends. So basically I would just anything about school or stuff that they need help on, basically just came on PS4. Yeah.
And so that's saying a lot, parents, that even when they're playing video games, school came up.
Yes.
And so then the discussion is there while you're playing whatever video game that you're playing.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, but
Very weird.
it's like really odd. It's like, hey, how do you think about Mrs. Johnson's thing? And it's like, yeah, let me just shoot this critter for you. I guess that what makes me old. But some of the other things that you guys use, obviously you didn't use Zoom, but you used like Discord and things like that.
Yeah, we used Discord a little bit, and then there's like phone apps and like, FaceTime, texting, and stuff like that. Instagram.
That's super cool. So on that, you know, uh, how was it making new friends? Basically, were you able to make new friends? Because you can imagine that How do you make new friends? It's kind of like on Zoom.
Well, like in 8th grade, I didn't really make any new friends. Because you can't really have like one-on-one conversations in like a meeting online. It's very hard. But high school, um it's like it was easier to make friends since it's online, and since I joined football, it's like you were forced to like get to know and like your team. So I made a lot of friends through them, and I made more. Yeah,
So, but that was because you came back to
yeah,
physical school.
yeah.
But when it was Zoom,
It was
basically,
much harder to
yeah,
meet new people.
you basically weren't able to meet very many people
Yeah,
unless you looked at them and then you stopped them.
because it's much more like heartfelt to have like a conversation. Like I'd rather have a conversation with you face to face and to get to know you than have like a phone call to get to know you.
Yeah, that's why we're here. That's why we're in person, because he said, "Are we doing this on Zoom?" And I said, "No, then you can't come on the podcast. We're going to do it on Zoom."
It's-
Because it was just so exhausting just to talk to someone on Zoom, and it was like, then you're talking over each other, and then you can't hear what somebody else is. And you know me, I like to talk over people. But so you basically kept your own friends.
yeah,
So
yeah,
whatever friends you had is whatever friends you had. So a lot of people still went out and got sick. But what did you guys do? How did you develop that friendship to continue having people? Because I know you, and you can share with us what you guys did, which was what some people call a bubble. You had your own bubble.
yeah. That's basically yeah. It's kind of it because like we wouldn't go out a lot, but when we did like not a lot, it would just be this one friend group, it's like bubble that would go out to a place. So yeah, it was like this one friend group.
And did that help a little bit?
It did. Yeah, it did because I got like I didn't get to because like those years I really I hated and I liked 8th grade because it was a lot of fun, but also I missed a big part of my life right there. Um, but like being able to go with that friend group, it really like helps.
Because I was like, every time I would see you guys, and it didn't seem like you guys were missing out on much except for school, because you guys were always
Yeah.
together, and you guys were hanging out, and you guys were hiking places, and you guys were doing activities together. But yeah, but so that was different from what we were seeing in media, that people were just locked into their homes. You guys really weren't locked in your homes. You guys were outside and outdoors.
But yeah, and I'm like one of those people like I don't like being at home for a long time. I like going out. So like if it's like a Friday now, I'll try to plan some with my friends because I like going around sometimes. So like any time that we would go out on a hike or go to like a store, like I would really love it because I would be trapped in my home and then I'd be able to go out. Like it was really good.
So what about your friends who didn't have friend groups? Did you have friends that didn't have like a friend group like that? And how was it for them?
Um, I don't think I had friends that like weren't in our friend group because like if you're my friend, I'm like we're bringing you into the friend group.
It wasn't part of the friend group.
Um, but if the worst would be like it was probably like very hard for them because like I said, that gap year it was really hard to meet people and to go back into the group of meeting people.
And then freshman year came.
Yes.
And usually freshman year is very stressful for some people, and for some people it's what they're looking forward to, because now you're in high school. So how was that transition from being COVID gap year to now kind of like a semi ungap year? It's like real.
Well, first like I really wanted to go to high school. Like before I got into middle school, like I really wanted to go to high school. And I found out like COVID and you have to wear masks, and that kind of sucked, but you just get used to it. And then, but yeah,
So what are you doing now in school? I mean, you said you joined football
I did, yeah.
and broke yourself.
Yeah, it's basically football practice starts in the summer. So after 8th grade, get a week off. So you have to get like your physical and your paper signed, and then after that, it's just football every single day. and that really helped because for me like it builds a family at school, and for me football was to me it was more than a game. It was like a way of teaching me like about like so football really helped get me back into like school and all that stuff, and yeah.
So I really want to hear like relationships that were built now that you're in high school. Uh, were you able to make more friends? Are you able to create new friends? Did old friends move away, or did because a lot of times when we go to high school, our friend groups change.
Oh yeah, definitely. My friend group changed because at first it was just like this one group of people, and then high school came, and then we all went to different high schools. Like one of my friend was supposed to go to Summit, and then two other of my friends went to Kaiser. So it's really hard not to see them like almost every single day. And then new friends got onto my friend group, like football friends. Now they're in our friend group, and then just new friends that I met through classes and stuff like that. But yeah, it was really hard, like losing. It was really hard.
Oh, it's still
It was really-
there. It's still
Damn.
there.
Damn. I
It's
didn't
still
think it was
there.
gonna happen. Well, it was
His
really
voice
funny
is still
losing those
changing.
friends.
Captain Catholic's voice is still going.
We're still changing.
Yes. Every day there's this constant change in our lives. It
Yes.
starts with a voice.
But yeah, it was really hard losing those friends.
So here's, because this is a Catholic show, here's the Catholic question. How many of those friends that you have are of the same faith, or people of faith, or even
I know most of them. I have like around like 3, 4 friends that they're not. I don't. Two of them are Catholic, and then the other ones they're like starting to become Catholic. Um, and then some other friends they're just not religious.
just man.
Yeah,
It's what we call nuns.
just like life. There's like life.
So you're hanging out with a lot of nuns.
Kind of. Yeah, because like a lot of people at high school, you know.
So they're wearing the white habit or the black habit?
Just kind of know exactly.
No, it's like the nuns. Well, for you guys who don't know, a lot of people declare that they are not. They're not religious. They don't belong to a religious denomination, and they're when asked in surveys, what religious affiliation do you attach yourself to, and they, there's like Catholic, Protestant, born again Christian, other religions, and then there's none. There's a lot of people who declare themselves none, not even spiritual. And so I tease that because in the Catholic Church we have nuns, which is spelled Nuns, nuns, which are sisters who live a life of prayer and service, and it's the opposite of nuns, Nones. So there's a lot of people who go through that, and I just want to ask, it's here's the follow-up question to that is, how do you practice your faith in high school? Or how do you practice now versus how you practiced before? Well, before I should go back a little bit. Before you had like active ministry. I mean, you were like really active in ministry, and then all of that kind of like disappeared. And then it was all like Zoom ministry. So how did losing that really active physical ministry, because I firmly believe that ministry to young people needs to be physical, in person, get down and dirty, running around, because there's a lot of energy there. So in losing that, how did that affect your faith, your relationship with God in that period of what you guys call the gap year? I call it the desert years of ministry.
It was really hard because ministry and Edge was like it made me like going to church, because like before, like I didn't like going to church because I was just sitting there. You sit, you stand, you pray, that's it. And then
It's exercise.
and then before I went to ministry, my brother would always come home on Wednesdays and tell me about what he did, and I was like super excited to like go to finally be able to go. When I went, I loved it. Because we experienced to meet other people and meet with these other people with all one goal and try to get closer to God. So it was really important to me to have that physical thing. And online, it was still fun. But it definitely wasn't nowhere as like motivating and fun as it was physically.
Yeah, it was dry, and you didn't get to play games.
We did, but like not the kind of games.
It's kind of like the Zoom games.
Yeah, like bingo and stuff like that.
Ugh. By the way, I love bingo. And I really have to say to those ministers out there who did virtual ministry, you guys are amazing because you guys did more than anybody else. That when COVID hit, everything shut down, especially in youth ministry. And there were some very, very amazing youth ministry. Your youth ministry was one of them who continued to do ministering to young people, even when the parish wasn't supporting it. You guys continued on because you had this avenue of social media, and you made do with what you had. Uh, but after a while, it did get boring and tiring and exhausting. It became like the desert, like the real desert where you're thirsting for more.
Yeah.
So what happened after you got bored and tired and basically shut down?
Like I kept on going, and uh, my faith definitely went a little bit lower, once virtual ministry came on, but I was just trying to like, keep it going.
So what would you recommend for like people now? Now that it's coming back slowly but surely, it's coming down. What would your recommendation be for yourself and for other people? What would you recommend for them?
Oh, it's like going to school, church, and if you have like someone to talk to, talking about faith, because like my brother was a really, really big impact on my faith and stuff like that, and he really helped me like church and want to go to Edge, and he basically he helped my faith grow a lot.
That's cool. I know him. I know
A lot
him.
of people do.
Yeah, a lot of people do know him. So keep it up. Keep going what you're doing. Because it's good. It's good for that. So one of the things I wanted to share with you and with a lot of people is during these times, there's something called resilience. Resilience really helps for us to persevere through challenges, to really persevere through that gap year, and even through this time, because things have changed so much. And we didn't even talk about the turmoil, the politics, the issues that were going on in society that you guys were going through. You had like the pandemic, and then you had riots and protests and elections and all that mayhem, and then there was shootings and things like that. So we're not even going to go through that because I think that's traumatic in of itself. So, but I want to share with you guys that resilience is the ability to bounce back from difficult, stressful times and persevere in spite of setbacks and challenges. And it says here that people who are resilient are able to cope with problems and even become stronger as a result. So if you've made it through this far, you're a lot stronger than what you were when you started. So people who are resilient, they tend to have a positive attitude and a mindset of looking for solutions and taking actions. So being resilient can help you stay on course to meet your goals, no matter what obstacles you encounter. So anyone can improve the resilience skills. And here are some 5 ways to boost yours. So 1, be open to change. Things happen. When you guys were in that, you're open to change. So change is inevitable, but can also be uncomfortable or distressing. So try to stay flexible. Try to stay flexible and keep an open mind during times of change. Yeah. Recognize that while you may not have the control over certain events that happen, you do have control in how you respond. And certain times that we had this is we had virtual mass. That was really difficult.
Yes.
And the way that people went to mass and the way that my family did mass is even though that we were home on the couch, we still got dressed like we would at mass. We still knelt, we still stood, we still prayed, we still stand. So we still did all the Catholic calisthenics of mass because it was mass. And we did, difficult things is spiritual communion. We had spiritual communion. And there was this dryness that I wasn't able to receive the Eucharist. So being open to change, and because there was that change, we didn't have control over that. And we need to be open. So number two, practice mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness at home and at work can help you be more calm and productive and improve your ability to cope with stress. So again, practicing mindfulness at home and at school or work can help you be more calm and productive. So mindfulness is about paying close attention to your surroundings in the present moment and what you are feeling and thinking about being self-critical, judgmental, or reactive. And one of the great things as a Catholic practicing mindfulness is, who is Jesus to me? In my prayer life, am I practicing my prayers? Am I reading my scriptures? Am I focusing inwardly instead of outwardly? Okay. Number three, face problems head on and focus on solutions. Try not to waste time procrastinating or blaming yourself or others. Look for ways to take action to resolve problems. Many of us, especially during COVID times, during those Zoom times, during that gap year, I'm not really going to school, so I'll just put this off. There's not really a grade, so I just didn't do it. So, face problems head on, face solutions. Another thing, make self-care a priority. Make self-care a priority. How many of us, during that time, really took care of ourselves? We as Catholics, we like to take care of the other. But do we ever look inwardly? How do we take care of ourselves? So good self-care is the foundation of resilience. Make time for regular exercise, which I am now. Hey, lost 12 pounds. Hey, yeah, 12 pounds. I am actually fitting in my pants. Yeah, and my belt. So make time for regular exercise. Eat a healthy diet. More bananas.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Get adequate sleep. Yeah. Yes. I'm going to tell you guys, going to bed at 2 a.m.
At
playing
least
video
8
games.
hours.
At least 8 hours. Actually, for your age, 11. 11 hours if you want to get taller. Not calling you out. So get adequate sleep and learn how to manage stress and calm yourself. Take your earned time off to rest and relax and set boundaries between school, work, and your personal life. Learn to say no to unreasonable demands on your time and energy. Learn to say no. And your friends say, hey, let's go out. And you're like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I'm going to say no. When Miss Arnell says, hey, let's go hiking, let's pray. It's like, I want to go to sleep because you're tired, not because you don't want to. Give yourself, be reasonable to yourself and say, I can't at this time. So lastly, build and maintain supportive relationships. Connecting with positive, caring people inside and outside the family is important for emotional health. Ask others for help when you need it. And this is what you said. You had a friend group. You had this group of people. And since this is a Catholic show, you had your youth group. And here's the thing. Those young people who are in youth ministry and those people who are youth leaders are leading you not simply to be companions, but companions leading you closer to Christ. There is a purpose, not just to gather, but to gather well in pursuit of searching and seeking a relationship with Jesus. So ask others for help when you need it. So many a times people are like, I fell out of church. Well, did you reach out to anyone? No. Okay. Reach out to others. When you are feeling that, what, I'm becoming more and more distant, reach out to those people and say, hey, could you, talk with me or walk with me? And those build up on what you already have as a foundation. So build and maintain supportive relationships. If you've had relationships in the past that were really good, build on that. If you're having great relationships now and there are people depending on you, build on that. So improving your resiliency may take time and practice, just like anything, just like your football, just like anything that you guys are doing out there. Improving your resiliency may take time and practice. So practice, practice, practice. But these skills will help you withstand and learn from difficult experiences for the rest of your life. So, in review, be open to change, practice mindfulness, face problems head on, and focus on solutions, make self-care a priority, build and maintain supportive relationships. In it, faith is all intertwined and all five of those. And that's what we need to look at. Where are we at now? Where were we? And where do we want to be in the future? Now, your brother is going off to college, so you're going to be all by yourself.
Yes.
I'm the only child with 2 little brother dogs. And it's going to be different. There's going to be change. And you're going to have to adapt to that change and continue to maintain other relationships, healthy relationships. Because if it's not, I know where you live. And that's not a threat. That is a promise. So that is what I have to share on that. Going back to what you're going through, many people your age went through the same thing. And we had, as a public health issue, many people who struggled with their mental wellness, mental health issues, even people who were becoming suicidal and actually acted upon that. And so if you're feeling that way, reach out. And if you have friends who are feeling that way, reach to them and ask for help. I can't stress enough that you can be an advocate for a person who's having a difficulty with their mental health to cope with during these times of crisis. So again, look at those things. Look at resilience and staying strong and resilient during these times, especially in high school. You're going to need it. So, any parting words for us, Mr. Carlos Guzman, Captain Catholic? If you guys ever want to know, you're going to have to look at the old episodes on why we call him Captain Catholic. No? You want to talk about the bananas? No?
Eat your potassium.
Eat your potassium, exactly. So again, hopefully this wasn't that awkward for you folks. We're coming back on the show, putting out other podcasts. Our next episode will be with a Catholic mom. We have a Catholic son here with a Catholic dad, and we're going to have one of the Catholic parents. And we're going to talk about in our next episode of how we as parents feel as we look back and how much we've traumatized our kids and ruined their lives. So if you are a Catholic parent, listen to that episode on how 2 Catholic parents reflect on how much we've damaged the lives of our children as Catholic parents. So on that note, thank you for tuning in and watching the show. If you want to support our podcast, we have a Patreon tab in our Instagram, also on our YouTube channel. If you want to please subscribe, ring on that bell. Where's that bell? Now the bell is over here. Ring that bell, subscribe to the podcast so that you can get notifications of when our next episode will come. Again, we encourage you to become a patron for as little as $1. You can support our show and what we're doing. And the higher the amount, the better stuff that you get, I guess. I think we have like hoodies. If you have any comments that you want to share, if you want to send us a Catholic trivia that you want us to use, send it to catholic.dad50@gmail.com. We certainly always respond to our emails as soon as we can, if we can find it in all the other junk mail. And as usual, what else did we say? We haven't done a podcast in a long time. I don't know how to close this. Live a life of holiness. Be blessed and
Be third.
be third. Still remember it. Take care, guys. God bless.
Different points of view and highs and lows, a new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind and drown out the noise of different generations of the girls and boys. So sit back and relax, this Catholic podcast. Don't overreact if the thoughts are abstract. When it's hosted by Catholic Dad, who knows what's gonna happen?
Hey, what's up, fam?
Different points of view and highs and lows. A new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind and drown out the noise and see if this connected.
What's up, fam? To connect generations and situations about faith, life, and whatever comes along the way.
Expect runaway thoughts like a runaway train. Break into conversation like links of a chain. Make a Hail Mary pass, hope this connects. Have a question for a guest, put it to rest. Live a life of holiness, lead by example. Follow at Catholic.dead and mini tangled. Christ leads our way, he's the good shepherd. Pray for one another, be blessed and be there. Different points of view and highs and lows. A new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind and drown out the noise and see if this connected.